Hey there, my name is Jake Panisevich, and today we're going to work on pausing and responding rather than reacting, and forcing ourselves to pause and to pay attention and to feel into how you feel before you move forward. And here we go. We're going to start in child's pose. Knees wide, as wide as your mat, big toes touch. Set your hips back. Relax your forearms on the floor. Relax your forehead on the floor. And just take a deep breath in here. And exhale out your mouth. And twice more like that. Deep breath in. And out your mouth. Okay, and once more. Full breath in through your nose. Sip in a little more air at the peak. And a long breath out your mouth. Relax your jaw. Let your lips softly come to touch. And engage your yoga breath. So deep, full breaths in and out through your nose. And with your next in-breath, bring yourself forward for tabletop. Okay, align yourself so your wrists are straight across your mat and under your shoulders, knees underneath your hips. And tuck your toes under as you inhale. Arch your back, look forward. And exhale, round your spine. Look towards your navel. Okay, a couple rounds like that. At the top of your in-breath, pause. Hold the breath for a beat and then begin your out-breath. It's the sweetest part in the flow, where your thighs plug back into their hip sockets in their deepest level, which will help clear all the way up to your mid-back. And if you don't take the time to pause, you'll miss that. And with your next in-breath, find a neutral spine and pelvis, and step back for down dog. Okay, down dog. And slide your feet back another 2 to 3 inches from tabletop. And make sure your feet are inner hips width apart. It's only about 3 to 4 inches apart. And bend both knees a good 4 to 5 inches. Look at your knees. Widen your knees as wide as your feet. And without letting your knees knock in, work your arms straight. Again, tip your hips up. And create a little lift in your low back. And so far as you could keep that lift, you can stretch your legs out as straight as they'll go. Inhale, come to the balls of your feet. Exhale, bend your knees, look through your hands, and step to the top of your mat. Feet hips width apart, feet straight, touch the floor in front of you. Bend your knees enough to touch. Inhale, lift halfway up, now legs straight. And exhale, bow. Big breath in, arms overhead, come up to stand. And exhale, arms then at your side. Deep breath, reach your arms up. Exhale, dive forward, touch the floor in front of you. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to the floor to your shins. Get tall enough to feel an extension in your back. And exhale, hands to the mat, step back for plank pose. Wrists right under your shoulders, legs straight for low plank. Keep your shoulders lifted, lower your hips. For cobra, point your feet, slide your chest forward as you come up. And pause here, look over your right shoulder, broaden your low back to the left. And only so far as your left shoulder doesn't slouch forward. And second side, look to the left, broaden your low back to the right. Plug your right head of your arm bone back, shoulder back. Okay, come back to center. Down dog, tuck your toes. To your hips up and back. Okay, inhale, step your right foot to the outside of your right hand for a wide lunge. Okay, all the way to the outside of your right hand. Most likely go off your mat. And take your hands forward and wide like goalposts. And come onto your fingertips. Bend your elbows wide. Okay, bend your right knee right over your ankle. Keep your back leg strong. And so far as that right knee doesn't turn in, you bend your elbows widely, and then you can eventually come onto your forearms. Root your right heel. Pause. And sit that right hip back. Okay, come on up. Place your hands and step back. Down dog. Second side, inhale. Step your left foot around your left hand for a wide lunge. So this ridiculously spacious lunge. Back leg powers up. Bend your elbows wide. And so far as this right knee doesn't turn in, you can give it a few breaths. Come onto your forearms. Hey, come on up. And step back. Down dog. Inhale, step your right foot to the outside of your right hand. Okay, this time for low lunge. Lower your back knee super gently. You pat up the knee, fold up the mat, grab a blanket. If that knee gets all creaky, and turn your right foot at a diagonal to the right. Point your right knee the same direction as your foot. And again, so long as that right knee doesn't turn in, and bend your elbows and settle in. More of a lizard lunge, low lunge. Root your right heel heavy. Plug your right thigh back, right hip sits back. And come on up, tuck your back toes under. Lift your back knee up, step back, down dog. And switch sides, step your left foot to the outside of your left hand. Lower your back knee super gently. And pat up the knee if you need. And turn your left foot 15 degrees to the left. Make sure your left knee points the same direction as your foot. And so far as this left knee doesn't turn in, just like that high lunge, you bend your elbows. Eventually come onto your forearms. So what's so sweet about hip openers is they demand you pause. Okay, they just take time. The game is get in the pose and breathe. Hold the pose. Okay, come on up onto your hand. Step it back. Down dog. Inhale, plank. Keep your legs strong. Don't let your hips hammock as you lower. For low plank, hips to the floor. For cobra, point your feet, pull your chest towards the front edge of your mat. And exhale, down dog. Inhale, come to the balls of your feet. Exhale, bend your knees and step or hop to the front. Feet hips width, lift halfway up. Hands on your hips, plug your shoulders back. Come up and stand. And step your feet hips width apart. Feet straight forward, bend your knees deeply. Okay, knees as wide as your feet, like a downhill skier. You're gonna shift weight into your right foot and take your left shin across your right thigh for a figure four. And take your right hand to your left sole of your foot. Remind it to flex. Okay, flex that left foot. Left hand to your inner left knee. Rather than pushing down, you actually want to lift your inner knee up against your hand to set your left inner thigh down, hips back. Get a deeper hip opener. Okay, step it down. And second side, weight in the left foot. Take your right shin across your left thigh. Okay, you can bend this left knee a lot to create a shelf for your shin. Take your right hand to your left sole of foot. Remind it to flex. That's most important. How you engage this left foot will govern the sensation in your knee. So you flex the foot to protect your knee and get more of a hip opener rather than a knee cranker. Okay, step it down. Reach your arms up. And exhale, fold forward. Touch the floor in front of you. You can bend your knees as much as you have to release your back and touch. Inhale, weights in your right foot. Step your left foot way back and spin both feet towards the wall to your left, towards the left edge of your mat. Just look at your feet. Make sure they're straight. Make sure they're even with one another. You can bend your knees as much as you have to touch and release your back. And so far as you feel release in your low back, you can fold right down the middle, and legs straight and bow. Weight even both in the heels as much as the tops of your feet. Yeah, that's how you know you're not locking your knee. Okay, come on to your fingertips, arms straight. Turn your right foot towards the front edge of your mat. Frame out your right foot like a lunge. Step back. Down dog. Down dog. Right knee wide for pigeon. Pigeon. Right knee all the way to the right edge of your mat. Square your hips. Come onto your forearms. Allow your hips to settle back and heavy towards the floor. And just give it a breath here. And reach your right hand back for your left foot. For a thigh stretch, you could hold either side of your foot. You can get taller, or you could hop up onto the left hand if you need to reach the foot. You can also use a strap or a towel to lasso the foot if you can't quite reach. And once you've got your foot, draw your heel towards your outer hip. Engage your back foot, flick your toes on your back foot, and create a little engagement all the way up to the core root of your pelvis. And gently release and step back to switch sides. Left knee wide all the way behind your left wrist. Square your hips. Come onto your forearms. Allow your hips to sit back and stretch back through your back foot. And pause. And force yourself to pause, to really feel into the experience you're having, to then move forward more mindfully. As your hips open, you can slide your back leg further back, just not at the expense of your hips turning to the side. And for thigh stretch, reach your left hand back for your right foot. Quad stretch, you get taller. You could hop up onto the right hand to reach the foot. If you can't quite reach the foot, you can also just let the foot down all the way to the floor. You don't want to leave it in limbo. It's easy to cramp, to make your hamstring cramp. And draw your heel in. Engage your back foot. Gently release. Step back. Down dog. Plank pose. Exhale, low plank. Hips to the floor for cobra. And exhale, down dog. Inhale, step your right foot between your hands for warrior two. Spin your left heel to the floor. Get long enough your front knees right over your ankle. Right thighs parallel with the floor. For side angle, right forearm to your right thigh. Bring your left hand to your left hip. Look at your hips. Square your hips towards the wall to your left, the wall you're facing. And keep that, especially as you reach out through your left arm. Turn your chest open. Okay, hands to the mat. Step back. Down dog. And second side, left foot forward. Warrior two. Bend your left knee deeply. Nice side angle. Left forearm on your left thigh, right hand to your right hip. Stamp your right sole a foot heavy to set your right thigh back into its hip socket. to create a release out of your low back. As you reach out through your right arm, turn your chest open towards the ceiling. Keep your left knee widening. Okay, hands to the mat, step back. Down dog. And inhale, step your right foot to the outside of your right hand. Then step your left foot to the outside of your left hand for squat. You could micro adjust the feet so you could sit back, heels heavy. Press your triceps against your inner knees against your triceps to create a lift in your low back. And take your hands behind you. Sit down, lie on your back. Lie on your back pose. It's a popular pose. Bend your knees, place your feet, ankles underneath your knees, feet hips width apart. And root your feet down to lift your hips up. Lift your low back up. You could either clasp your hands underneath you, or arms alongside you, palms spin up. Whichever gives you leverage to shimmy your shoulders up and underneath you. So far as your knees stay straight, lift your hips up as high as they'll go. And lower down and press your hands against the root of your thighs. Keep the back of your head down like bridge. And reach your arms out like cactus arms. Rest your right shin across your left thigh for a figure four. You can reach down, set the foot. Okay, just like you did standing, important, flex that right foot. And let both legs fall to the left till your right sole of foot hits the floor. Okay, and angle your right knee towards the ceiling. Look right, root your right shoulder down. If your right knee gets it all creaky, flick your toes up on the right foot. Come on back to center. Second side, rest your left shin, cross your right thigh, and let both legs fall to the right till your left sole of foot hits the floor. Angle your left knee, cap towards the ceiling. Flick your left toes up off the floor. Look left. Root your left shoulder down. And bring it back to center. For happy baby, bend your knees, hold your shins just below your kneecaps and rock and roll. And rock it up to sit. And stretch your right leg out. Bend your left knee in. And Janu Shirsasana, you're going to twist to the right. Reach your left hand for your right foot or shin, whatever you could reach. Your right hand to the outside of your right shin on the floor. Use your right hand to tip your weight heavier in your left hip. Twist right and bow. Okay, inhale, come on up. And second side, left leg out, right knee in for Janu Shirsasana. Twist to the left, reach your right hand for your left foot, or outer shin, or outer thigh, whatever you could get. Okay, what's more important than reaching your foot is to get this left leg to root down straight. Okay, so that thigh roots into its hip socket to clear your low back as you twist left and bow. And inhale, come on up. Bend both knees in, soles of your feet touch, knees wide for Baddha Konasana. Hands behind you. Hey, rather than forcing your knees down, think knees apart. And your inner edges of the feet will go apart, flick your toes up. Okay, when your knees go apart, they'll start to go down. Okay, you never want to force them down, so it's not like that old school gym butterfly move. It's more like a yoga pose. Okay, so if your knees are even or below your hips, if you're a borderline, you have a go coming forward. Hands to the inner edges of your feet. Okay, if you go to come forward, if you feel your hip flexors bind or speak to you, or your low back, You can stay upright, hands behind you. You can also prop up on a block or blanket. And go ahead and bring your hands to your knees, close your legs gently like a book. So may our yoga practice help us pause, even sometimes force ourselves to pause and to really experience the experience we're having to move forward gracefully. Thanks for your time. My name's Jake. Namaste.